good afternoon. Where I don't know what's gonna happen, but I think we've been given an extra day to investigate at the end of last time um in this game. So presumably we're continuing to investigate. Um Pretty much we but remember last time we established there was still some of the supposedly poisoned tea that the victim drank at the crime scene. So the police went to retrieve it, but the trial was suspended a day, so I think that means we get to investigate more. Is at least what the game is telling me so far. But um I don't know what there is to investigate in particular, but I'm sure we'll find something. Maybe this will be short and we could just get into the next part of the trial and then I'll be trapped here forever. So yeah, let's get into it. The 22nd of February, 1:11 p.m. Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Oh no, the ad. It's gonna kill everything. Disaster. I'm sure it's fine. Oh, no, the ad isn't starting yet, but it will in a few minutes. Sure. Sure, thank you, ad. Right. Well, back to reading. We made it back in one piece. Just. To be perfectly honest, I thought we were finished there for a while. Oh, I know. What a lot of close shaves. There are so many carriages on the streets of London. You were very nearly flattened several times. No, I didn't mean that. Ryunosuke, why are you getting run over by carriages in the streets of London? What are you doing? I guess he's fine. Sure. Yes, I know. It was a marvelous defense, Naruhodo-san. It really was. I was in awe of you. Oh, thank you. And now that your fervent exploits have won us some more precious investigation time, let's see if we can't find some new clues for court tomorrow. Yes, let's do that. Is everything all right? I suppose. I still can't quite believe it, that's all. That I'm here in England, working as a lawyer. I mean, in the Old Bailey, no less. The truth is, it shouldn't be me, should it? It should be him standing in my shoes. It should be Cosma. It was Kazuma-sama's wish that you follow him to Great Britain and work alongside him. Yes, I mean, I never had the chance to ask him exactly why, but he clearly had a plan. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. And you're doing wonderfully, Naruto-san. I've no doubt that Kazuma-sama would say exactly the same if he were here with us. Thank you, Susato-san. Thank you. I know, I guess it's just the OBS mic monitor. For a second I thought I could hear myself twice, but I don't see any other place where that would be possible, so it's fine. It was quite a shock earlier today, wasn't it? When the victim himself turned up in court and took the stand. I know. Not only that, but then finding out that he is actually a barefaced gas thief as well. Yes, that certainly was a surprise to us all. For a while, it seemed as though everyone had quite forgotten about Soseki-san poisoning the tea. Careful of your phrasing, Susato-san. He didn't poison anything. And there's more to this Mr. Shamspear than we yet know. I'm sure of it. Mr. Shamspear certainly wasn't the noble, upstanding man everyone thought he was at first. What's become of him, actually? I was told that he'd be returning to the hospital ward where he was receiving treatment. Which one is that? Let me see. Ah, yes. He's at St. Bartholomew's, or Bart's, as Londoners call it. We know that place, don't we? Yes, we visited Miss Green there yesterday. It's the same hospital to which she was taken. Ah, yes. After Soseki-san stabbed her in the back. Do be careful of your phrasing, Naruhodo-san. He didn't stab anyone. Perhaps we both owe Soseki-san an apology. St. Bartholomew's. Yes, we should probably visit the hospital later. So, we know that Soseki-san took the tea to the victim on the night in question. But as he isn't the culprit, then obviously... Yes, the poison surely wasn't in the tea. But if that's the case, how on earth did the poison get into Mr. Shamspear's body? I'm sure we'll find a clue at the scene. There must be something in Mr. Shamspear's room that will help us solve the mystery. Well, Naturally, as Scotland Yard detectives have been over the place already. But it couldn't hurt for us to have another look around, I think. Definitely. And I'm desperate to know the outcome of the investigation into the tea left in the bar of soap. Well, if we run into Inspector Gregson, we could ask him about that. One second, I gotta fix my hair so I can get my headphones on better. Okay, that should be a bit better. I think. Hopefully that's better. Kazuma's wishes. Kazuma Asoki. The best friend I ever had. And a lawyer with such promise. He really saved my bacon in that horrible incident just before we left Japan. I can still picture him now, looking so fierce and determined in court. And then, after the trial, that crazy idea he came up with. As a stowaway. Okay, Kazuma's voice.
Yes, you can fit inside my trunk if you curl up small enough, I'm sure. No one will know.
Kazuma, won't you tell me why? Why go to these lengths so that I can accompany you to Great Britain?
Well, it's been on my mind ever since we got through that trial that you really ought to go into law. Be a defense lawyer. You've got a natural talent for it. Believe me, I guarantee it.
But I've never even thought about becoming a lawyer.
Well, I can't force you, obviously. You'll have to decide for yourself. But anyway, London is the cultural capital of the world, the city at the forefront of everything. It can't hurt for you to see it with your own eyes.
No, that's true.
I suppose, though, if you were to become a lawyer, then one day...
One day, what?
No. Never mind.
Naruhodo-san. Sorry. I was just thinking about Kazuma. Yes, he's forever in my thoughts, too. To change the Japanese judicial system for the better That was his dream. And that's why he so desperately wanted to come to Great Britain to study, of course. Yes, that's right. But yes, I do wonder if his true intentions lie elsewhere sometimes. I don't know. The thought just takes hold of me every now and then. That's all. Naruhodo-san, what do you mean by Kazuma-sama's true intentions? I mean this. His katana. I never expected to inherit this sword after Kazuma's passed away, of course. No, I know. It was because I asked you to take it. When I have it at my side in court, I feel as though it gives me courage. Yes. Actually, the night before he died, he told me a little about the sword. Karuma.
That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karuma guides me. I truly believe that.
So, its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling.
On that subject, there's something very important I have to do in Great Britain.
Something you have to do.
Yes. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me.
Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. Excuse me.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
What did he mean by something very important that I have to do? I had hoped the answer to that question would become apparent when we arrived here. But as yet, I've not found a single clue. I see. Well, wait, where's his desk? Wait, what would happen? Maybe they didn't have all of their furniture yet at this time? Surely they did. Okay, well, I guess we should stop by Sholmes' suite because if we're investigating something, Iris is very helpful. What the heck is that? Sorry, I hear a noise that's bothering me now. Okay, it's gone. The 22nd of February, Sholmes' suite. Oh, Runo and Susie. Hooray! You're back! Hello, Iris. You're in fine spirits as always, I see. I am. And you look as immaculate. Sorry, wait, I thought I misread the word, but I didn't. So then I just got confused. I'll try that one again. I am, and you look as immaculately presented as ever, Susie. Oh, you flatter me. Well, you couldn't have come at a better time. I've just made a pot of tea. I'll set some cups. Really? Thanks, Iris. But actually, what is that foul smell? Okay.
Aha! The Wanderers return at last. Where on earth have the pair of you been?
We've been in court.
Oh, for Mr. Mustache's case? That was today, was it?
I'm sure I mentioned it only yesterday, Mr. Sholmes.
I'm
What did he say? Okay.
I'm sure you think you did. Well, we can laugh about it now. So, tell me, how did the trial go?
Reasonably well so far. We've managed to escape without a guilty verdict at least.
Really? I would have liked to see it. And I must pass the time of day with Mr. Reaper again. It's been too long.
Is Lord Von Zeeks an acquaintance of yours, Mr. Sholmes?
Naturally. There's not a person in the world who doesn't know my name, Mr. Naruhodo.
Not quite what I asked, but still. Mr. Sholmes, whatever is that odor? Yes, what is it? It's faint, but absolutely awful.
Ah, indeed. That's the scent of victory, my dear fellows. Victory in science.
Oh dear. Alright, I'll bite. What's he up to now?
Lord Barak van Zieks. Yes, it's an interesting sub.
How do you say that word? Hmm? How are you supposed to pronounce that? What is that word? What? Excuse me? Okay.
Sobriquet.
Okay, well, sobriquet. Is it? It's a distinct form of pseudonym. Typically a familiar name used in place of a real name without the need of explanation. It may become more familiar than the original name. Um, it is in fact. Probably sourced from French. Okay. Well, that would explain why I just instantly lose any ability to attempt a proper pronunciation. Um, Too many French words. Unlucky.
Yes, it's an interesting sobriquet he has, isn't it? The Reaper of the Bailey. Once the legendary prosecutor has fought for someone's conviction, that person is doomed. Even if he or she is found not guilty by the courts, sooner or later, the hapless soul will vanish from the capital.
But vanish how exactly?
By falling under a passing carriage, or drowning in the Thames, or succumbing to a sudden fever, or, quite out of the blue, being set upon by a highwayman. There are numerous routes to one's final terminus, my dear fellow.
It all seems a little far-fetched, really.
Well, on the bright side, Mr. Mustache is fighting fit for the time being, at least.
Okay. That's not overly reassuring. If the rumors are true, though, the obvious conclusion would surely be that those acquitted are, well, by Lord Von Zeke's own hand.
As it happens, Miss Susato, that is quite impossible.
Oh, why?
Naturally, the man very quickly came under such suspicion. However, whenever these incidents occurred, the Reaper always had a cast iron alibi.
Really?
And so his reign continued. But 5 years ago, he vanished from the courts, never to appear as a prosecutor again. That is, until you arrived in the country, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, so I've heard. In fact, it was the very day I arrived when I was thrust into that trial at the Old Bailey. That bitter fight to the death coincided with the Reaper's resurrection. And really did end bitterly indeed.
And here you are, facing Mr. Reaper again.
Poor Runo. I don't know if you're just incredibly unlucky. Or sorry. That's not what I expected you to throw in there, Iris. Or incredibly unlikable. I I I think it goes deeper than just me. I sense a general loathing of all Japanese people. Let's continue on this before we ask Shums why he smells bad. With Mr. Natsume, who I'm currently defending being Japanese as well, as Miss Susato and myself, I felt it even more keenly in court today. For some reason, Lord Von Zieks seems to have an inherent disdain of the Japanese.
Indeed. It is an interesting observation.
Do you know something about it? Do you, Mr. Sholmes?
It was about 10 years ago that Beric von Zieks chose to enter the legal profession. However, before that time, the young man's closest companion hailed from the Empire of Japan.
No. Oh, what the? Tell us more, Mr. Oh, sorry. Ow. I hurt myself. Tell us more, Mr. Sholmes. I don't know if that was my headphones or I just peaked the mic really badly, but my apologies. What happened?
I believe I've made it clear before. I'm unable to tell you anything about that affair.
Oh, but
The veil will be lifted on the events of the past in due course, I have no doubt. For now, however, it is Mr. Mustache who is most deserving of your attention, I believe.
alright, Shelms, why do you smell atrocious? So, what is that indescribably foul smell?
Ah, well, it most probably is this, I would say.
What is that?
My dear fellow, it is, of course, my latest invention. A chemical test that can identify whether or not a tea is genuine at the drop of some tea.
Oh my.
There are some unscrupulous sorts manning the stalls along some of London's less frequented streets. They regularly sell what purports to be high quality tea, but it is in fact merely dyed leaves of drab flavor.
Well, that's certainly unsavory behavior.
So, when one is presented with what appears to be black tea, one must be careful. Iris?
At the ready, Hurley.
Let us add a drop of my chemical to this cup of tea here. Do you see what happens?
It's turned completely black. And what a foul odor it's giving off.
Indeed. The blacker the tea becomes, and the more foul the odor, the better the tea is. It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine.
Uh, I should know how to pronounce this. I'm sorry. My brain is not. I mean, Okay, well. Okay, this is fine.
It would appear that this cup was a particularly fine Darjeeling.
That I can't. Okay, whatever. Whatever. That's very ingenious. But what do you. Er, oh, maybe I've like mostly heard Darjeeling? Uh, Darjeeling tea. I mean, that sounds approximately right to me, but I'm also. Oh, whoa. Words are too hard. What do you do with that black, foul smelling liquid now?
Why, dispose of it naturally. Surely you wouldn't like to drink it, would you?
There does seem to be a rather obvious problem with your new invention, Mr. Sholmes.
Hence why this chemical test is merely a test, my dear madam.
Right.
The point is, we are entering a new era of science in the world of criminal investigation, also.
Yes, forensic science. Oh, these are such exciting times.
I regularly engage in this scientific experimentation alongside my unofficial consulting detective work. The Herlock-Sholmes method will be the foundation upon which modern investigative technique is based. This little tea indicant was a happy byproduct of my ongoing forensic science research.
Forensic science. I suppose I should find out more about that. So, your tea test, is that an example of forensic science?
Indeed, it is. An essential tool in cases that hinge on the knowledge of whether some tea is of high or inferior quality.
Not a huge number of cases, then.
Perhaps a more practical example is required. Fingerprints? not yet accepted in our courts as evidence, I might add. Really, we are dragging our heels there.
I hadn't even heard of them until recently.
Which is partly why I undertake research in this field myself, of course.
Does that mean you're studying fingerprints, Mr. Sholmes?
There are others in that field already, and I abhor the company of inferior minds. No, what I am researching is skin prints.
Skin prints?
A nomenclature of my own design, as is this chemical agent that makes it possible. It instantly reveals objects touched by whichever person is under investigation.
Brilliant, Mr. Sholmes. How... Okay, first of all, how in the world does that work? Excuse me? As long as it doesn't turn everything completely odorous and black. Turned the tea into tar.
I assure you, my dear fellows, you will witness my forensic talents in action very soon indeed.
Well, I think we should go back to the scene and see if we uncover any new clues. That's the spirit, Runo. See you later.
Yes, until later.
No, Mr. Sholmes. We were thinking you'd come with us.
You were?
Yes, of course. You said so just a moment ago. You said we'd witness your forensic talents in action.
Ah, yes.
Sorry. He surely can't have forgot. He said it like less than a sentence ago. Shelves, what are you doing?
Ah, yes. I do recall saying something along those lines. But you go on ahead. I shall be sure to follow you later. In all likelihood, probably, maybe, well, I might.
Your commitment astounds me. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. will eagerly await your arrival. Bye bye, Runo. Bye, Susie. Sure. Iris. That's incredible concentration, that is. I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once. Perhaps I should try drinking more herbal tea. The blend from third from the right would be good for you, Runa. Oh, Iris. This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Okay, well, good luck, Iris. With writing. Uh 22nd of February, St. Bartholomew's Hospital. Recovery ward. What do you suppose is happening? It sounds like some sort of disturbance. Yes, I hear angry voices. Uh, wait, what's he doing in here?
Be not angry, O ample lady. Verily thou art mistaken.
Oh, what was her voice? I think it was a deeper voice. What was her voice? Mistaken my foot. You were looking at my painting.
The eye of man hath not heard, the ear of man hath not seen. 'Twas foul indeed, the poison that mustached villain gaveth me. Forgive me, lady.
I wish you'd died from that poison.
God a mercy, ample lady. But thou seest, I have vigor still. Behold my sham spear dance.
This looks rather ominous, doesn't it?
Ah, lo, 'tis the lawyer from the land whence riseth the sun. How now?
Um, what are you doing here, Mr. Shamspear?
Marry, I do believe I am returned unto another ward.
He was looking. That's what he was doing. Looking at my terrible work.
Eastern fellow, so dark clad. Faith, thy work in court this morning was wonderful. I do applaud thee.
Oh, well. Thank you.
But that doesn't mean things will go so wonderfully for you tomorrow, does it? Anon. Exeon.
I just guessed that's a French word. I'm sorry if it's not. I'm also sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Mr. Shamspear might technically be the victim in this case, but there's definitely a lot more to it than that. It's very hard to pin the man down. I'm so sorry. I'm such an awful person. Miss Green, is everything alright? Oh, yes. I mean, don't worry about me. They're about to discharge me, so I must get ready to leave now. Oh, I see. We're delighted that you'll soon be well enough to go home, Miss Green. Oh, dear. You're too kind. I don't deserve it. Hmm. That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No! Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. So, are you feeling more like yourself today, Miss Green? I am. Thank you. I mean, people do recover from ordeals like this, don't they? Even people like me. Well, yes. It really was an ordeal, wasn't it? As far as I was concerned, I was just walking along in the snow one evening, minding my own business. And then, completely out of the blue, I was struck in the back by a knife and collapsed unconscious for days. Of course, when I finally woke up again yesterday, the whole business had been cleared up already. What a terrible week it's been for you. Oh no, I'm sure I'm very lucky, really. I'll look back on this fondly. Really? Anyway, I must be getting my things together now, so I'm ready to be discharged. Oh, yes, of course. Sorry to take up your time when you're obviously busy. Oh, that's not. 22nd of February, Mr. Natsume's Lodgings. Ground floor. I didn't mean to actually. Uh, oh, hello again, Inspector Gregson.
What are you doing here?
Well, we were hoping to have another look around, actually. The lawyer representing the defendant has a right to examine the scene, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, I know the score.
Oh, yes, one other thing. The soap on the ledge outside the window. Did you find it? With the tea in?
Yeah, we found it alright. And there was a small amount of tea in it, as you said.
I knew it.
It's with the identification section at the yard now. They're looking into it. The results should be available later today.
That's wonderful news. Thank you.
Pretty impressive performance in court this morning.
Sorry.
Nothing. Forget it. Just make sure you don't disturb anyone in here.
Sholmes is here. Okay, I guess I couldn't. Seeing Shamspear there was the only place we could see him. Ah, the ill-fated teacups from which the two men drank on the ill-fated night. During their heated literary debate, yes. Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It sounds like it was quite a discussion. Now that I think of it, I'm sure that the two lovers in the play ended their lives with poison. That's fiction, Miss Susato. Let's hope it stays that way. So, it turns out Mr. Shamspear wasn't eating the soap at all. That's right. The mystery of why he had it on a plate whilst holding a fork in his hand is solved. Yes. To prize his latest ice coin out of its mold. And in the process, he accidentally broke the bar of soap in two. It certainly was hard to imagine, let alone deduce. The sun never shines in this room, thanks to that depressing bricked up window. Yet, with enough determination, you can always remove the bricks to set some soap outside, can't you? That sounds like a very wise life lesson, Miss Susato. Only if you plan to follow a life of crime, Mr. Naruhodo. If you ran out of change, you wouldn't even have any light, let alone heat. For the needy London's winters can be very harsh. That's true. But if you think about it, even the wealthy would find themselves freezing if they ran out of small change. London's winters can be very harsh for the forgetful too, then. Frankly, I'm starting to wonder if Susato-san and I are going to make it to spring. That's true. We don't even have a meter at Baker Street, let alone a gas stove. Look how dark the stain on the floor is underneath the meter there. Yes, from all of the water dripping out after the ice coins melted as you established in court this morning. It's a very large and obvious stain, isn't it? Mr. Shamspear must have used an awful lot of ice coins, I suppose. It was an ingenious idea, I'll give him that. We'll go to Sholmes after we look at the other part of the room. This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances? Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. Oh, think about it. If you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would help you achieve your goal. This I have to see. Me too, to be honest. I'd like to see that. Thank you, Susato. Are you looking for new clues, Inspector?
On Lord Ranzeek's orders, yeah. Don't come back till you got some for me, he says.
Oh dear. Poor you.
Yeah, poor me. 'Cause we've already searched every bleeding nook and cranny in this place. I don't know what he expects, to be honest. Thank goodness for warm chips is all I can say.
Well, at least he's honest. Ow. Too many male voices again. Pain. Mr. Sholmes, what are you up to over there?
What a question indeed. Was it not your good self who asked me to attend the scene? Oi! Oi! What are you doing here, Sholmes? What are you up to over there? What are you doing here? Dear me. Once a great detective, one is always under scrutiny, it seems.
Is now the time, Mr. Sholmes? Are you about to show us your forensic talents in action, as you promised?
With the greatest of pleasure, my dear madam.
What's he gonna do? What's all this?
All this is precisely what you requested, Mr. Naruhodo. Herlock Sholmes' sensational skin print seeker gun. Moments ago, I took a sample from the teacup that was used by the victim.
A sample? A sample from Mr. Shamspeare's cup? Sorry, the revolver is awesome. that revolver is actually so good. It's filled. All the chambers are filled with chemical reagents.
Each individual leaves microscopic secretions on everything he or she touches. A sample of those secretions is all I need to produce this, a refined indicator solution. By liberally spraying the room with this chemical, everything the victim touched is instantly revealed with the aid of these goggles. Here, try them on. There. Now spray the chemical indicator about, and all will be revealed.
Spray? How do I do that exactly?
A little press of space on the area which you're interested in is all that's required. Like this.
What is that stuff? It's like fog.
A suspension of the chemical indicator in a pressurized gas. It's the most efficient way to cover a large area. That was another invention I discovered incidentally, whilst I was developing this idea.
As you do.
Go ahead. Try it, my dear fellow. We may learn something interesting about the victim's movements on the night in question.
Well, there's nothing to lose, I suppose. Let's explore. This is really cool. Look, there are dozens of handprints here.
So there are. A great many indeed. So much so that it's hard to make out any one individual print, in fact.
Brr. It sends a chill down my spine. Perhaps he was leaning against the wall while he admired this picture.
Unlikely, I would say. It's a rather dull scene, after all.
And without wishing to state the obvious, you wouldn't generally admire a picture from such close quarters, I feel. Oh, very true, Miss Susato. It's a bit of a mystery then. Oh, look at all this here.
Ah, yes, interesting. A multitude of the victim's handprints.
Why are there so many of them on the floor in this one spot? Oh, perhaps he had a bad fall just here. There's nothing obvious that he would have tripped over, though, is there?
I wonder. Personally, I often stumble when there's nothing obvious to trip over.
I think that's something only a great detective would do, Mr. Sholmes.
Well, this is quite a puzzle. Handprints all over the floor.
Yes, there's no obvious explanation. Well, we sprayed Mr. Sholmes' amazing skin print indicator all over the room, didn't we? We did. But there are two places in particular that are of interest, I would say. The handprints on the floor there, and on the wall by the picture. You mean? Yes, and I think the floor warrants closer investigation. I won't be a moment. Ah, What is it, Miss Susato? Did you get a splinter from that very obviously loose floorboard? Look here, Mr. Naruhodo. One of the floorboards has popped out. One of the... you mean... It's a secret hiding place?
Excellent work, Miss Susato. So, what do we have in here? Oi! What are you lot doing?
Inspector Gregson.
Stand aside! Right this minute! It's my job to investigate there! No need, Inspector. You continue to dig into your portion of chips, whilst we dig around under the floor here. Your fancy talk's putting me off my food anyway, Soames. A new bit of evidence is exactly what I need.
Wow. A secret hiding place under the floor. What a find. It's not a hiding place you could make use of in Japan. I don't think I could lift a straw tatami mat. No, I know. But I never expected one of these wooden floorboards to move either. It's got me wondering about the wall over there too. Aren't you curious? Oh. I'll investigate at once. There's nothing behind the picture, sadly. Only the wall.
How disappointing.
But then, how do you explain the handprints? I really can't think why anyone would have been touching the wall over and over in one place like that.
There you are. A print for you.
The photograph of the handprints on the wall has been entered into the court record. Oh, thank you very much. His invention can make prints too. Now then, I wonder if Inspector Gregson has found anything under the floor there.
I'm desperate to know.
So am I. Okay, let's take a look at this photograph. But yeah, like... why would he have been touching the wall there so much? He looks plenty tall enough to reach the lamp with no issues. Alright, Gregson, what do we got? What do we got? I'd love to know if there's anything hidden underneath that floorboard there.
Allow me to ask Gregson now. After all, we are well acquainted.
Why is that his approach?
Inspector Gregson, really, it's been too long. Too long. What is it, Sholmes? I thought perhaps you might show me what you've found there, seeing as we're such good friends.
What is this pose he's making?
We're not friends. No, I suppose not. A dismal failure.
Yes, I heard. I'd kill to know what was under that floorboard.
Alright then, fair's fair.
What?
You did discover the hiding place after all? I suppose I should at least fill you in.
Really, Inspector? Thank you.
Do it quickly, my dear fellow. If there's one thing I know about this man, it's that he blows with the wind, as fickle as the weather. Oi! Stop making me out to be some kind of nut. There were 3 items under the floor there. A newspaper clipping, a photographic print, and a tin box. Now, what do you want to know?
Excuse me.
Looks like this was a cutout of the paper about 3 months ago. It's about a convict who got sick and died while he was serving time up in Manchester.
How terrible.
It made the headlines down here in London as well. The bloke had been sentenced to death, you see, but nature got him first.
Oh my goodness. He'd committed a capital offense.
Man by the name of Selden. Nasty piece of work. Into burglaries and murder. They say the hoard he'd knocked off was... They say the hoard he'd knocked off was worth about £1,000.
A hoard of treasure, you mean?
jewelry in the well and the like. But he'd hidden it somewhere, and no one knows where, and now he's dead. The papers loved it, of course. 1,000 pounds lost en route to the underworld, or some such, was the headline. Does it not strike you, though? Why such an article would be so carefully ensconced under the floor? I suppose now you mention it, it does seem a bit odd. Perhaps I'll go over the paperwork we've got on Sheldon back at the yard, see if I can turn anything up.
Capital offender article has been entered into the court record. We have that half an envelope, right? Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was someone clearly with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been writing. Excuse me. Must have been right-handed. Miss Susato, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never. Ba-ba. Condemned criminal dies of natural causes in prison. Manchester's Strange Ways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes. In the early hours of the morning, he had been suffering with a fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. Photographic print.
So, this is the photograph I found. Looks reasonably recent to me.
Oh.
Yes, it would appear to have been taken on the street in front of the house here.
And the gentleman on the left is Mr. Garadeb, the landlord of the house. But who's the young man on the right? Perhaps Mr. Garadeb's son?
Perhaps. You can take that print if you like.
Really? Are you sure?
We can presume, therefore, that the yard already knows the identity of the young fellow, that is.
Ah, is that true? I already know the identity of the fellow.
Well, it's too bad if we do. Unfortunately for you lot, leaking information isn't one of my pastimes. My dear Inspector, if I may be so bold as to point out. Pastimes are for one's leisure, but this is for work. All the more reason I'm not telling us. A dismal failure.
Yes, I heard. The hidden photograph has been entered into the court record. I wonder, why was a photograph like this hidden under the floor? I mean, Mr. Shamspear himself isn't in it.
Photographic prints are still rare treasures in the East End. I imagine Mr. Gerdeb was rather delighted to have been immortalized. He probably made a proud present of it.
So I actually recognize this man. I do not know exactly who he is, but there was a picture of him in Miss Olive Green's room, hospital room.
Now, this tin box looks interesting, doesn't it? Might I suggest, Inspector, that you open it? If you were to find something inside that reveals the truth behind this case, I wouldn't be in the least surprised. Yeah, funnily enough, I've already had a look. It's completely empty. What? Shamspear, give us a clue, man.
You didn't even have the chance to utter a word, Mr. Naruto. But anyway, at least we found out what's inside the box. Yes, the Nair, it's empty. Rather like how I feel inside. Is there nothing more to this box then? I wonder. Are we not allowed to inspect that one until we get in court? Meow. Waka hi. What? Where did you come from? Oh, look. It's that lovely little kitty cat. What was its name? It's Mr. Natsume's, isn't it? I don't think we ever asked him, actually. Why don't we call it, Wagahai? You know, like Mr. Natsume refers to himself in Japanese. I wonder how he got in here. Clever cat. Oh, wonderful. Well then, Wagahai. Here's something delicious I bought for you from the cat's meat man. Yes! Feed the kitty! Meow! How did Wagahai get in here, though? He couldn't be happier now. Look, I just hope we can bring some happiness to his owner, too. He was doing it. He was needing this stage. Do it again, Wakahai. Sorry. This cat makes me too happy. He has a bow tie. And he's so well behaved. That was a cheeky little meow. Wagahai. Oh, but he's so adorable. I could sit and watch him forever. I think he may not appreciate that after a while. And we do have an investigation to get back to. No, I don't know what you're talking about. No, there's nothing more important in this room than staring at Wagahai the cat. But like Wagahai jumped from over the stage. How did he get in here? How did he get in here? Well, I think we got everything out of here that we can for now. So my first, my first... Look, there's a photograph in this frame here. Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? But yeah, the person in the photograph is the same. Which means our next step should be Mr. Garadeb's room. Unfortunately. 22nd of February. Mr. and Mrs. Garadeb's room. Mr. Garadeb appears to be out. Oh well. I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Really? Well, I guess there's nothing for it. "22nd of February, Briar Road." The Gerdup household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position there on the corner. Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it's at a bit of a slant. It does rather look as though it would collapse in even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it? And isn't it supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Soseki-san has such a hunched back. I don't think any of this is important. I guess this. 22nd of February, local prison, cell 9. Oh, Mr. Natsume is back. So he is. Mr. Natsume, hello.
I. I am a cat.
Sorry?
I don't know who Mr. Natsume is, or Herlock Sholmes. I don't know about courts, or trials, or Old Baileys. I am a cat. That's what I am. Just a cat.
Sorry, I'm trying to decide if I want to recite that line in Japanese just because I can. I probably won't, but I could. The only way to prove that would be to do it. So, for now, it remains a mystery. Mr. Naruhodo, he's trying to escape from reality. Trying to? He already has! Completely! So, what is your name then?
As yet, I have no name.
Mr. Naruhodo, he hasn't fully thought out his new identity yet. Maybe it's not too late to bring him back to reality. Do you think you could open your eyes for us, Mr. Natsume?
I am not a cat.
It worked. He's back in the real world.
What's going to become of me? No! Don't answer that. It's obvious. My accursed soul is never going to escape this accursed fate.
Excuse me. Mr. Natsue, no. This morning's proceedings in court proved that there's hope.
Yes, yes. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire was brilliant, but the Reaper is omnipresent in the court, in my lodgings. Here, there, everywhere.
What's he looking straight at me for? I think perhaps there are. Excuse me. There are some things we should discuss.
Oh, yes. Yes, we must.
I might have enough water to get through this.
In my whole life, have I ever been so moved as I was today? No. Of course, if I cast my mind back, there were perhaps one or two other occasions that moved me more. But if I just block those out, then today, being in that courtroom was. It was the most moving experience of my life. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
You're too kind. Scotland Yard found the remaining tea, just as we deduced, and are analyzing it as we speak.
There's nothing wrong with that tea. They won't find a drop of poison in it. That's, solemn, sworn, Soseki certainty.
Tell me, did you both drink the tea at the same time that night?
Oh, yes. Most definitely. Remember, drink tea whilst it's hot. We both poured it down our throats like it was a hot bath for our bellies.
And at the time, you were both completely fine? As shown by the fact that he and Mr. Shamspear then engaged in the Romeo and Juliet match. I suppose the focus of tomorrow's proceedings will be how the poison was taken by the victim then.
That rotten Shamspear. What have I done to him ever?
You don't recall him taking issue with you over anything you've done recently?
I've been holed up in my room, immersed in books. I don't recall anything. Anything at all.
Right.
But what I don't understand is why he didn't let me know sooner.
Let you know what, Mr. Natsume?
About the soap, of course. What else?
Oh, dear. Are you struggling with such a meager stipend?
Of course I am. If only I had money. I wouldn't have chosen to live an accursed existence in such accursed lodgings.
Oh, yes. You said. Excuse me. You said it's because the place is cursed that it's so cheap, yeah?
Exactly. Especially the room that I rent. The spirit of that capital offender who lived there still haunts the place, and it's trying to kill me.
Capital offender.
Might I ask, locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, that next time you visit me, you bring scores of super soft soaps.
Hmm.
What's this?
It's a it's a newspaper cutting that we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room.
So he knew, did he?
Sorry?
About this man, Selden. A convicted killer, and the evil spirit behind the curse that afflicts my lodgings.
Mm. What?
He's already taken one young man's life, and now he's trying to take the life of another. A miserable, mustached, much maligned Japanese man.
Mr. Natsume, if you know something, please, you must tell us. Tell us everything you can about this evil spirit. Capital offender Selden.
The truth is, I didn't know the details myself until very recently. That Selden man was arrested about a year ago now. And at the time, he was hiding out in lodgings at Mr. Garadeb's house.
What? He lived where you do now.
That's right. Yes, exactly where I live now. In my very room.
Oh my. Your room was previously occupied by a criminal found guilty of a capital offense.
But before his sentence could be carried out, he died in prison. That was 3 months ago now. And that's when it started. The curse.
What really is the curse you keep mentioning, Mr. Natsume?
It's already caused one death. A few months after the criminal passed away in prison. A man died in the room. The man who rented it after Selden, in fact. The poor lodger He was found dead in mysterious circumstances. The room was locked from the inside.
Locked from the inside. Exactly like the case we're dealing with now. So that the convict's curse, is it?
Yes, well, that was the start of it.
Okay. I've gotta go refill my water now. I I will be back in a minute. My apologies. More hydrations required. Be back. Okay, I'm I'm here again. Sorry, I'm a little slow. This is the for these streams. I have the giant glass of water. It takes a lot longer to fill it up. Excuse me. 1 second. Okay. I'm ready now. Do you have any idea how the lodger before you passed away, Mr. Natsume?
The official cause of death was asphyxia. When they discovered the body, the room was full of gas.
Gas?
I only found out after I'd signed the lease. When Mr. Gardab came to tell me later, I couldn't stop myself trembling. In fact, if I'd known beforehand, I probably would have been too scared to take the room. Landlord's lease, luckily legal.
Lucky for Mr. Garadep, maybe, but not so lucky for poor Mr. Natsume. And now you believe this curse is affecting you.
It is. At first. I just felt as though I was being watched all of the time.
And then you talked about having nightmares, didn't you?
The dead are just trying to take me with them. They comfort me and try to suffocate me. Just when I'm struggling to breathe, I wake up. And the room is as cold as ice.
But why is your room so cold?
London winters are too cold to bear without any heating on overnight. But for some reason, even though I light the stove before I climb into bed at night, the pilot light always goes out, and the room fills with gas.
But that's terrible. That's like so incredibly dangerous. I don't think that building's up to code. I'm not gonna lie. That's exactly the same situation as what led to the previous occupant's death. And then there's what happened to Mr. Shamspear last night, when he was mysteriously poisoned. There's clearly more to that incident than can be explained by a curse, though. No, this doesn't sound like a curse at all. Whatever can be the cause of all these strange happenings in Mr. Garadev's room? I also want to present Mr. Natsume with this photograph. Mr. Natsume, it's nothing much, but
It's been too long since I've been offered a present. With that delightfully humble etiquette of our homeland.
what?
You're too kind. I accept it gladly.
Sorry, but I wasn't trying to give it to you, actually. There's an insect in here. It's flying around. No, he has nothing to say about that one either. Alright, well then that means it's time to move. We're gonna go back here again. Nothing's going to change here. Now we're going to check if Gardev is home. 22nd of February. Mr. and Mrs. Garadev's room. Ah, you're here now, Mr. Garadev.
Right bally business it is for me, you know. Getting out and about.
Were you at the Old Bailey by any chance?
Naturally. Fate of my lodgings hangs in the balance and all that. Not a child to miss.
The fate of what's already been dubbed your haunted lodgings, yes.
Of course, the place has caused quite a stir around the capital on more than one occasion already. It's the old haunted lodgings or some such.
Ah, well, at least he knows.
Makes you wonder what the blazes is going on, don't you know?
Yes, I'm sure it does. I don't know, the only thing I can think of is that there's some kind of fault with the gas installation to his building, and since none of the rooms below him have actual windows that would potentially let the gas vent if there's a problem. I don't know, either way the gas company should be fixing that. But I guess they maybe don't No, but they said they found the room full of gas. In fact, thinking back to Mr. Natsume's other trial just 2 days ago. You were at the Old Bailey then as well? Testifying with your wife about what happened.
Stopped off at the prison on the way home, in fact. Beastly business.
I see.
So, what brings you to my haunted abode today, eh? Some fishy fellow from the Far East and a failed actor chap of questionable character, eh? Yes, this house does seem to have become something of a magnet for rum fellows late. Thanks to that bally curse.
The convict's curse, you mean?
Ah, heard the stories, have you? Rotten scoundrel was arrested here, then the next chap in the room goes and keels over. Then there was that woman who dropped dead just outside on the street, not to mention the actor yesterday. Am I next, eh? Well, can't help but get the collywobbles, can ya?
When you say the woman who dropped dead outside on the street, do you mean Miss Green? Because Miss Green, who was stabbed by the knife, and Mr. Shamspear, who was poisoned last night, are both very much alive still.
Yes, well, so is that blasted convict's curse, it seems.
Personally, I should be quite content with such lodgings. A bath, a toilet, a fireplace, a fascinating history. Why, it sounds like the lap of luxury.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, there's no bath or toilet included, and no fireplace either.
But you do look out for your tenants, don't you? By watching the rise and fall of the flames in your gas lamps up here.
Yes, never hurts to keep an eye on things, in case there are any mishaps or such like.
I think you've had your mishap already, sir.
Ah ha ha ha.
Sure, Sholmes. That's not helpful, Mr. Sholmes.
Heaven, forgive me. The words just came to my lips.
There's no need for that, Mr. Gardev. That's right. Mr. Natsume is in no way fishy.
He is undeniably peculiar, however.
Is it right that he took the vacancy immediately after the previous tenant passed away?
Yes, that's right. I asked the estate agent to find someone and he popped up the very same day. Never come across a chap so keen for a place with a background, as it were.
I don't think it was the room's background he was keen on so much as the cheap rent, actually. So, how long has Mr. Shamspear been lodging under your roof?
A failed actor chap. Let me see. Oh, of course. Yes, it's been 3 months now. Quite sure of it.
Only 3 months. He's quite new here too, then.
Cool. I'll give it a try.
Hydrate. Okay, I'll drink some water. Thank you. Yeah, I probably should be drinking slightly more water than I have been. It's getting a little bit rough just because there's too many male characters in this case. It's just like those are the lines I've been reading for like 70% of the time so far. But it's just because that's a little bit more mean to my vocal cords, but I'm not really like pushing it too uncomfortably.
And to what do you owe your certainty in that regard, Mr. Gerdeb, if I might ask?
Well, it was that Sheldon scoundrel as it happens.
Selden, the convict, you mean? Do Selden and Shamspear have some kind of connection then? That's very insightful, Ryunosuke. That is exactly what I'm thinking here. I think Shamspear has some kind of connection to that convict who has 1,000 pounds of stolen treasure hidden somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Shamspear is trying to, or like actually figured it out recently and then was just attempting to do something to get Natsume out of there. But it would make sense to me if he's been trying to find that treasure.
That convict chap, Sheldon, passed away in the clink. 3 months ago now, you see. Some malady or other.
Yes, as we've seen from the newspaper report at the time.
Well, it was only 3 days later that the tragedian showed his face. The actor fellow.
Really?
Yeah, I remember it quite distinctly.
"'Tis small, this world we inhabit," Prithee, landlord, hear my request. I, the humble Shamspear, do desire to take thy room on the middle floor, offered erewhile for rent.
Terribly sorry and whatnot, but that won't be possible. You have a lodger on the middle floor? Ground floor rooms vacant, though.
Nothing can be made out of nothing. Let me repeat mine will unto thee.
Those curls must be muffling your ears. The room on the middle floor is taken. It's ground floor nothing.
Ah. Then he definitely was trying to get Seld in the convict's room. Which would mean I wouldn't be surprised if he was responsible for the first tenant's death that was occupying the room at the time of him actually coming here, which was immediately after Selden the convict died in prison.
Glad to hear it. Welcome to Briar Road.
Lo, a Shamspear dance to celebrate.
Stuttered a little bit there.
From what I heard in court today, sounds like the chap was thieving gas. And he was 3 months in arrears with the rent, too. Yeah, the fellow was a bally player, alright.
He hadn't paid his rent.
Thank you for your candor, Mr. Gardeb. We are most grateful. By way of appreciation, allow me to say 1 or 2 words. Give me my robe, put on my crown. I have immortal longings in me.
What's happened to you?
Shakespeare, my dear fellow, one of his most famous lines.
Personally, I don't recognize that one.
I wished to divulge my own learning of the subject, for I have a turn for literature too, you know.
Perhaps you could turn your attention to more apt lines then. Yeah, I literally... Is that even a quote from Shakespeare that he gave us? Guess I could try to look. What is this from? Okay, it's from Antony and Cleopatra. Apparently. To be honest, I haven't even heard of that Shakespeare play before. I'm not very cultured on this front. On stage plays. Unfortunately. Alright, Mr. Garrideb, you know something about this picture that you're in. Mr. Garrideb, could I ask you to look at this photograph? Is that your son who's with you there? No.
No. No. Not at all. He was a lodger here once. Duncan Ross was his name.
Duncan Ross.
Street photographer happened to be passing by. So I asked him to take a shot. Yeah, just for kicks, really.
Was he, by any chance, the lodger before Mr. Natsume?
Yes, that's right.
Ah, the young gentleman who died in the room in mysterious circumstances. Just what Mr. Mustache was waiting for, one might say.
Don't go putting that idea into the world, Chomes. There's no way Natsume would murder that guy for this house, for this room. It's too much of a crap room for that.
Yes, young Duncan lived in the room at the top of the first flight of stairs before that Japanese chap.
Would you mind telling us a little more about him? But yeah, I think I see the pieces starting to fall together.
Yes, Duncan Ross. A young chap was attending art school. Had to work to pay for it. Mind. Moved into the middle floor room about a year ago. After that criminal Selden was arrested. Young students are always on the hunt for rooms with a history behind them.
A history of cheap rent, maybe. Yes.
Yes, well, anyway, it was one morning about a month ago now. Hadn't quite worked out the old trick of watching the gas lamps to see what my lodgers are up to at the time. So, sadly, I was rather tardy to discover what had happened. Smell of gas that alerted me it was.
Ah, yes. Synonymous with the smell of death.
called the police straight away, of course, and the officer kicked the door down off its hinges. But once we got inside, we all bally collapsed.
Because of the gas.
Yes, room was full of it. No air at all. Stove must have gone out, but the poor chap was sleeping in his bed.
So Mr. Ross suffocated to death.
Of course, the police gave me a sound ticking off, cause the gas pipes were so old and all that. Can't tell you how much it set me back to have the lot replaced all over the house.
But even after you had all that work done, Mr. Natsume says the same thing. That the stove goes out at night whilst he's asleep in bed.
Whoa, that's the bally curse. Convict's curse. I've done my duty as landlord now.
Someone's feeling defensive. Can I look at Natsume's room, please? Can I look at Natsume's room?
Ah, that reminds me, actually,
Yes.
about young Duncan. Night before, poor chap perished. He'd been writing a letter. A letter of affection to a young lady.
Love letter, you mean?
Yes, where did I put it now? Ah, here it is. Left it on my desk.
If you'll excuse me, let me see now. What does it say? To my most beautiful and charming sweetheart.
Do you think we should be reading such a personal piece of correspondence?
My dear Miss Susato, that is precisely why I prefaced my reading with, if you'll excuse me.
I will not excuse you, Mr. Sholmes, no.
Sadly, she didn't address it, though. So I have no means of delivering the thing. Rather sad, really.
I see. That's going to play on my mind. But really, the identity of Mr. Ross's sweetheart has no bearing on the case. I think we should leave well alone. Yes, I suppose you're right.
Indeed. The intended recipient's address is missing. However, there is a name attributed to the man's most beautiful and charming sweetheart.
Mr. Sholmes, please. I've already had to chastise you about this once.
My undying love to you, my colorful darling. Olive Green.
Ah. Uh, Olive Green. The woman who was plunged into a coma after a knife plunged into her back outside this house 5 days ago. The victim of the last case Soseki-san was in court for, who regained consciousness only yesterday. Is it just chance that her name has come up now? Could it possibly be a mere coincidence? Mr. Naruhodo, whatever can this mean?
Reading personal correspondence can have its merits, you see, Miss Susato.
Ha 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 ha.
Thank you, Sholmes, for continuing to read that. Well, I got nothing else for you. Back to the hospital. Hopefully she hasn't been discharged. 22nd of February. St. Bartholomew's Hospital. Recovery ward. Mr. Naruhodo, I've just finished speaking with the doctor. It seems Miss Green is well enough to be discharged at last. This is good news, but hopefully just before she leaves... Ah. What is it? Miss Green! What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back. One moment. I'll be with you in a jiffy. Oh. Hello, everyone. What are you all doing here? The doctor has said I can be discharged, so I'm just getting my things together. Miss Green, what were you just doing? Nothing, really. I was just about to take some medicine the doctor prescribed for me. That's all. Well, we were hoping to have another quick chat with you, if it's alright. I don't really have anything else to tell you. Alright, she's definitely behaving strangely. Let's see if we can't coax something out of her. Was I given that letter? I'll just assume Sholmes is here and has it and whatever. This is the card Miss Green was looking at so intently before, isn't it? Mr. Naruhodo, we shouldn't be peeking at a young woman's private effects. Right, I should save peeking for gentlemen's effects only. You mustn't do that, either. And maybe you, Miss Susato, shouldn't be peeking into a young man's mind, either. This is the bottle Miss Green was just about to drink from. Yes, she looked rather preoccupied, didn't she? Perhaps it's very bitter? I can't stand a bitter medicine. I suppose that could be it. In fact, whenever a doctor prescribes me medicine for a number of days, I always take it all at once. Ryunosuke! That's... No! No! Oh, no. Well, if you have to take something all at once, or if you have to take something you don't like, it's best to get it all out of the way in one go, isn't it? No! No! Stop! Ryunosuke, you can't do that! It's prescribed to take over a number of days for a reason! Oh, dear. And I thought it was Mrs. Green, or Miss Green, I should be worrying about at the moment. Ryunosuke, no! It's wonderful news that you're going to be discharged, Miss Green. Yes. I mean, thank you. Once people are better, the hospital staff don't want them lingering and wasting space. Not people like me, anyway. So I don't think I should keep anyone waiting. I probably shouldn't stand here around here and chat. She certainly doesn't seem to be in the mood to talk, that's for sure. Well, I can actually show her the photograph now, so this is progress. Miss Green, we were hoping to ask you about someone. Mr. Duncan Ross. You knew him, didn't you? Oh no, I'm so sorry. The bottle of medicine fell down when she did. That's a suspiciously purple liquid. It's suspiciously purple. That's poison color, I'll have you know. Oh, Miss Green, are you all right? I don't think she's all right. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to startle you like that. No, it's all right. I just wasn't expecting it. But how do you know about Duncan? Mr. Ross had been writing a letter when he passed away. The landlord found it in his room. It was a very personal letter to you. It was at the art school. That's where I met Duncan. A year ago now. He was working to fund his studies. He dreamt of becoming a professional artist one day. the two of you became romantically involved? Yes, that's right. We were very much in love. We were engaged to be married, actually. That's why he decided to move into a cheaper room to save money for the wedding. And that's what led him to Mr. Gyarados. Yes. He told me he found the worst, but cheapest room in the entire East End. And then, 1 month ago, that's when it happened. We're so terribly sorry, Miss Green. Well, it's all in the past now, I suppose. Poor Miss Green. She looks desperately sad. I was starting to think that's just her look. But now I see that she has every reason to feel the universe is against her. I do hope you won't think I'm being rude, but would you mind leaving me in peace now? I have to leave the hospital soon. Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to hold you up. Of course, we'll be on our way. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Sholmes said that. I knew you would come here.
Surely, you were not about to leave. That's quite out of the question.
What? Mr. Sholmes, I didn't realize you were here.
But of course I was, my dear fellow, watching intently from the shadows, as always.
Well, make your presence known next time. Oh. 2 very conspicuous things have just turned up. Mr. Sholmes, what's this about?
Something which occurs to me with some regularity, Miss Susato, is this. Why do detectives insist on such an ex post facto modus operandi? Why solve a case after it's happened, instead of preventing a case before it happens? That is what sets a great detective apart.
What do you mean?
There is a case waiting to happen under our very noses, Mr. Naruhodo. So, let us avert disaster. Let us prevent this case from ever happening, with nothing but careful observation.
Alright.
All the clues you need are set before you. You need only look, and you cannot fail to see.
You can do it, Mr. Naruhodo. I know you can. Well, well, well. That mouse seems to be dead. Look, I didn't notice it there before, did you? I think perhaps it drank the medicine that spilled out of the bottle. But that's the bottle Miss Green was about to drink from when we arrived. You don't think? Excuse me.
Ah, it seems you've come to appreciate the true nature of this scene. That of a tragedy about to take place.
Yes, I think it's falling into place. Miss Green, the contents of that bottle you had before has spilt out onto the floor. And the poor mouse that drank it has sadly died. Ah. Ah. I think it's clear that the bottle must have contained a powerful poison. Don't worry. I will attend to the mouse presently.
Miss Green, were you intending to go the same way as that rodent? To take your own life?
Once we'd left, you would have put it to your lips again, wouldn't you? And taken the poison. No! Miss Green, please, please talk to us. It definitely feels as though this card must be relevant. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand. What can only be described as a very tense atmosphere. Yes. It may be very well related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believes was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it. Excuse me. I'm gonna drink some more water.
"10 seconds later, and we would have arrived at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green.
Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine? Well, with this being a hospital and all, when the doctor comes to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while. So I snuck this out when he wasn't looking.
It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains.
I'm afraid I don't really know. But I thought, if I drank it, it might just stop the pain somehow. Oh, please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. I think that was a rat, actually. Oh, no. Oh, it's all my fault. What have I done?
I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection?
No. None. Neither the sender's name or address appear to be written on the envelope or this card. It arrived by post at my home the day before the incident that put me in hospital here. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a minute. The 17th of this month. That's the day. That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road. And 5 p.m.
is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad. Yes. A pub on the northern corner of Briar Road.
Briar Road, being the street that Mr. Garredup's house is on. Does this mean that
I'll
Yes,
give it a try.
I'm sure you've guessed. That day when I was struck in the back by the knife. Ah. Well, Sasha, thank you for telling me to hydrate. Water must be consumed. Alright, all set for a bit. I was actually on my way to the slug and salad. Goodness. So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything. Yes, I'm very sorry to have had to drag up such a painful memory for you. No, it's fine. Miss Green, please promise us you won't try to do anything like this again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison. And I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but, well, that's how all this has made me feel. Leaving Miss Green in St. Bartholomew's behind, we made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes.
Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trail for today.
Yes, it's late.
And, Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow? Do you think?
Details about Mr. Shamspear, Mr. Garredub's lodgings, and the convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we're yet to see the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling anyway. I can't help but wonder about the results of the analysis. Into Mr. Natame's tea, you mean? Yes. Will they have found strychnine or not?
Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend, Mr. Reaper.
Oh dear. Yes, Beric von Zeeks.
But I wish you every success, of course. And though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial.
Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come?
Indeed, whatever happens, I shall be there, assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning.
Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsume's cause until the very end. Did I get the card that Olive had? London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. Soseki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Shom said, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. To be continued. The segments of this trial are quite long. But yeah, with that, I think we will be wrapping up here for today's Ace Attorney stream. We've uncovered lots of interesting tidbits. So I'm going to hazard a guess. I'll make my prediction now of how this case will turn out. I don't know how you will get there, but we will get there. I'm pretty confident that Shamspear had a connection to the convict, Selden. He then tried to move into Selden's room in an attempt to recover Selden's stolen capital. But when he went there, the room was already occupied by a different tenant. So, Shamspear set out to work. And he has done something to ensure Ross's death, so that he could attempt to move into the room. But then, Natsume Soseki-san instantly moved into the room, so he still hasn't had an opportunity to really be in the room and fully search it. I don't exactly know how he got poisoned yet, but there's a chance he poisoned himself with a non-lethal dose, just so he could get Soseki-san arrested and move into that room, or at least gain access to it. I think the letter the ripped envelope that we found on the floor of his lodgings matches the envelope that the card that Olive had at the end there was in. It was the same type of envelope, which I think we will have to use to paint the connection between Shamspear and Ross, which I don't exactly know where to go from there, but I'm pretty sure Shamspear's the main criminal in all of this. And we'll have to find some way to prove all of the terrible things that he's done. That's my current read on the case. I don't think there's going to be any other people introduced at this point, but how am I supposed to know? I have no clue. But yeah, I think there is going to be poison in the tea, which will mean it'll be rough. It'll be rough going in the trial next week. But yep, we'll be continuing it next week. My stream schedule's a little bit lighter this week because I have quite a few extra IRL things to take care of throughout the week, so unfortunately that's the case. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out and watching, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day or evening or whatever. And I will be live again on Wednesday in the afternoon, where I'll be continuing the Plucky Squire, and also be raiding later that night. But yeah, there's a decent chance we're gonna get very close to the end of the Plucky Squire with this one. I feel like we're closing into it, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you around. Bye bye.